Hi guys, Ray here from City Fan TV. Hope you're all doing very well. This is a quite unusual video. Now, some people might have looked at the title and think it's clickbait. It's all right, semi-clickbait, but it's got a serious point behind it. I hope that Everton are relegated this season from the Premier League, and I hope it's by 1 point. Okay. Now, I've got nothing against Everton. Okay. Nothing at all. I mean, when I lived in Liverpool, when I was at university there, I went to a few Everton games. I went to a few Liverpool games, a few Everton games because I sometimes couldn't get back to Manchester or for an evening game or whatever. So, I've got nothing against Everton, but I think for the good of football in this country, or at least Premier League top flight football in this country, Everton need to be relegated, and it needs to be by about 1 point. Okay. Before I get into the meat and drink of this, I'm sure a few people are effing and blinding already. But if you can subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. If you can hit that bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as new videos come out. Give us a thumbs up and make some comments. Genuine, decent comments. Don't just, watch 1 minute of the video and start blasting me and lambasting me and laying into me. Watch the video and then comment. Okay. Now, why do I think Everton need to be relegated? Okay. So I said I've got nothing against them. I've got nothing against, they've been some dour football over recent times. It really hasn't been enjoyable to watch. It's not, hey, it shouldn't matter because I'm a City fan. What do I care? But I like to see good football. And I think Everton fans would like to see some decent football as well. And they've been fighting against relegation for so many years. I think they've been very unlucky with the Moshiri ownership. I think that was terrible. I said it years ago. If Jim White has got your ear, Jim White of TalkSport, if he's got your ear, then I've got to question your intelligence, your football intelligence, to know what you're doing. I won't be talking to Jim White. Okay, I'll be telling him to do one. So they made some terrible decisions, and the repercussions, the ramifications are hitting home now. Now, yes, they've got new owners now, but they've got the new stadium being built. That's costing them an arm and a leg. That's one of the reasons they've got problems with FFP, apparently, with some of the interest payments. I'm not sure about all the reasons, but and they struggled in the league because they spent way too much money on bang average players. Gylfi Sigurdsson was a decent player, but not a £50 million player. Not in a month of Sundays. And they did that, bought too many players they paid too much money, put them on too big a contract, and then you're not being able to get rid of them. They're not delivering on the pitch. You're struggling for things like TV money. Yeah. You're getting the TV money, but you're not getting the extra money for finishing higher up the table. You're not getting into Europe. You're not getting the extra opportunity for the money in Europe now. Everton are a big club. There's no getting away from that. They were one of the big four who wanted the Premier League. United, was it Everton? They were one of the big 5 or 6 anyway, back in the day. They're a great club, historic club. There's no doubt about that. I'm not ever going to question that. But they made so many bad decisions. They've not had that chance to get into Europe for years and years and years. Other clubs have come along and popped into Europe. Aston Villa, making money out of being in Europe. West Ham, getting into Europe, making money out of being in Europe. Brighton, they'll all make money out of being in Europe now. It might not be bags of money, but Newcastle popped along. They were in relegation zone 2.5 seasons ago or whatever. Look where they are now, or season and a half ago. Look where they are now. And what they're getting from the Champions League, they're getting whatever. They'll get 50, 40, 50, 60 million. They'll get plenty of money from the Champions League. Even getting into Europa Conference League, I don't know what money it made West Ham, 20, 30 million. All this is important because it helps your spending power. And Everton have just consistently failed to do that. So Moshiri didn't really help them. I think he set them back. You could argue, some people will say, well, he got the new stadium started and all that. Okay, fair enough. Each to their own. But the reason I think Everton need to be relegated is because of financial fair play. Because let's quickly talk about Everton's situation. If they're guilty, they need to be punished. Simple as that. You know what the rules are. City fans would begrudgingly probably say the same about us. But They got docked, but I think 10 points was ridiculous. I think that's too much. And it looks like they're going to get docked points again because they've held their hands up and said, we're guilty. They can't deny it. The one charge, we're guilty, you're punished. They'll appeal it. Okay, fair enough. Now, they've got docked 10 points. Now, maybe that gets reduced to 6 points on appeal. Maybe. Okay, which a lot of people say maybe 3 or 6 points. But they got another case. Now, they're saying it's we're getting fined for the same thing. Well, it's a rolling 3-year thing. So if you knew you were failing last year, you should have sorted it out the next year. You should have done whatever was required to sort it out. They didn't. You get stung again. What if they get docked another 6 points or another 3 points? If this is what takes them down, I think what Everton do, they've got no choice here. If Everton are relegated because they're already in a perilous position, first of all, they're going to lose the money from the Premier League. They won't be getting Premier League money. They'll get a parachute payment and the Championship money. It's nothing like your Premier League money. That's the first thing. Second, if you've not got players on contracts that have a relegation clause, you are going to get battered, absolutely battered, because you can't afford to pay them when you're in the Championship Premier League wages. And if you can't afford to pay them Premier League wages, a lot of them will just say, I've got no link to Everton. I've not come through the ranks at Everton. I'm a mercenary. A lot of footballers are. I've got no issue with that. I've got no ties to Everton, no hold. So I'm going. And I can see them losing the better players. You lose your better players, it makes it more difficult to get out of the Championship next season. Plus, if your finances are so bad, and I think they will be, you go into administration, you're going to get dock points. So it's going to be even more difficult to get out of the Championship. And if you stay in the Championship another season, your parachute payment drops. Again, there'll be some players who stuck by you, Brantway or whoever, local lads, players who stuck by you for one season. You didn't get out of the Championship, they're gone. So you're going to lose some more good players, some more of your better players. And it's going to be more difficult the following season because you're getting less money coming in from the Championship or from your parachute payment. And maybe some fans have said, had enough. And you've got the new stadium to pay for. It just means that it can go from bad to worse because you can go into administration. What if your finances are perilous again? You don't get a sugar daddy to come and bail you out. And you go into administration. Again, look at problems with Reading. Clubs sometimes go into administration a couple of times and they get battered. Bolton, who would have thought Bolton were Premier League not too long ago under Sam Allardyce? Where did they drop to? The second division, League Two? Currently, I think they're in League One. Look how badly teams are struggling. Reading were in the Premier League not too long ago. Now they're in League One, struggling there. So there is a huge risk that happened to City. All right, it was 20 years ago, 20-odd years ago, 25 years ago. City dropped bang, bang into the League One. Who's to say that doesn't happen to Everton? As I said, imagine this scenario. They get relegated and they get administration. They get docked, 10 points. The best players leave. They've got financial issues. They can't attract players and they go down again. I think it's unlikely, but it could happen. So Everton, for their own future, would have to challenge this in court. And I think that's why I want them to be relegated. I want somebody to stand up and challenge this in court. The financial fair play, or in the Premier League's case, the profit and sustainability rules. I want it to be challenged in court. I want to find out. I think they've gotten... I don't think they have a leg to stand on with financial fair play. Why are you artificially preventing owners from investing into their business? Football is a business, okay? Why are you artificially preventing people from doing that? Without going into too much on FFP, that's for another video, but FFP is basically designed to keep the minions down. It was designed, you got clubs like Arsenal, Spurs, United and Liverpool. Well, I think the big four who are pushing for this, for this FFP and for strong regulation, because they knew that some of the new entrants could spend more than they could. They saw Abramovich come in and he blew them out of the water. They saw the writing on the wall with Sheikh Mansour. They could see new entrants coming into football, being interested and blowing them out of the water so that they couldn't challenge for the best players. They couldn't pay the best transfer fees. They couldn't pay the best wages. They wouldn't be getting into Europe. Look at it now. They're crying their eyes out of these big clubs because Newcastle got into the Champions League last season, which meant other teams didn't. Liverpool didn't get in the Champions League. Spurs didn't get in the Champions League. Chelsea didn't get in the Champions League. Big clubs who need the big budget to keep going forwards. And they couldn't get in the Champions League, so they hate it. Now you see Villa might get into the Champions League. Who's going to miss out? Well, United are going to miss out. Chelsea are going to miss out. Possibly Arsenal or Spurs or City or Liverpool. You know, someone else, another 2 or 3 big teams are going to miss out, especially if Villa make the Champions League this season. Okay, so everybody, all the big clubs want that status quo to remain. And I want FFP challenged in the court so everybody finally knows where we stand. Is it fair to do this or isn't it? And I think it's about time. I think in the past, City were looking at it. When we got sanctioned by UEFA back in, was it 2014-ish? You know, and we took it. We said, we'll take it as a pinch. We took it as, I think they wanted to go to court, but I think in the end they said, we'll take it as a pinch. It's a £20 million fine or whatever. We'll pay it. We're not happy, but we'll put it behind us. We'll move on. So if City lose these under 15 charges, you bet your bottom dollar they go into court. They're going to push this as far as they can and for as long as they can. And I want Everton to go to court because lots of things are going to happen. They'll go to court, okay? If they win, it's not going to be a short case. It's not going to be a short case. You know, it's not going to be something that's going to be over in a month or two. It's going to be a lot longer than that. How can the Premier League then relegate Everton? How can they relegate Everton when they've got this court case or, you know, or appeals or whatever? How can they? And if they do, and Everton get FFP overturned and they get the points back, and then they wouldn't have got relegated, what do the Premier League do then? Do they parachute Everton back at the expense of somebody else who will then complain? It's mad. It's crazy. You know, what if it takes 2 years for Everton to get this court case heard, and in that time they're in the Championship? Then the Premier League have to pay Everton the money. There's no way. Yeah, Everton will say, you've cost us this financially and you've cost us this reputationally. The minimum will get the financials. And what, for argument's sake, if they say the financials are worth £200 million, okay, £200 million each year. Well, I think that's probably a bit too much. £100 million each year. And the Premier League have to pay back £200 million. That's a lot of money. You know, who's going to pay that back? The other clubs, other 20, let's say 20 clubs have to pay £200 million. And what if you're a club who got promotion into the Premier League when Everton got relegated? What if you had nothing to do with it? Are you then fined or have to contribute or have the pot reduced? It's a crazy situation. And I think once and for all, now we may not like, once and for all, FFP needs to be sorted out. Is it legit or is it not? And we may not like nation states, as some people say, or wealthy owners coming in and buying football clubs and doing what. But this is what always happened. This is what always happened in football. Jack Walker came along, Blackburn lad, pumped money into his club, won the league. Okay? Liverpool. You got to go back to Liverpool. Liverpool were the first major financial dopers. You know, the fella that owned Liverpool actually owned the ground Anfield. Okay, Everton used to play there. He put the rent up. Everton said, no, we're not doing this. They went across Stanley Park. Goodison Park was their new home. They were there. The fella at Liverpool, he had no tenants, so he formed a new club. In those days, clubs were formed for sporting reasons or to do with the church or a community. Liverpool were formed simply to make money. And that were it. He put money into the club. A few years later, they won the league title. They're your first financial dopers. It's always happened. In the 60s, the Pools company, Littlewoods, they put their money in, or the Morse family, they put their money in. Okay? United have had benefactors. Everybody's had benefactors. Sometimes they've cocked up. Sometimes they've done really well. You know, why should certain clubs benefit from the fact if you're part of the Premier League at the time when that was formed, you benefited just because where you finished in the league. So, you know, I just think at some point we just need to blast this FFP, decide what's happening. Is it legit? Is it not legit? And then I think we can move forward in football. There's a lot of problems in football. That's for another video when I talk about VAR and the handballs for penalties and offsides and lots of other stuff that's going wrong in football. FA Cup replays being canned. That's for another video. But guys, let me know what you think. Do you think FFP is good or bad? Should it be thrown out? Or should we carry on with some sort of financial restraints on clubs? It'd be interesting to know your thoughts. Keep it clean. Keep it sensible. I'm eager to hear what you've got to say. And I'll try and engage with each and every one of you. Guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you're notified as soon as new videos come out. And give us a thumbs up. Always nice to get your thumbs up. See you around, Blues.